Hi, class, and welcome to week 2. In week 2, we are going to learn how to write the personal narrative. The personal narrative is oftentimes my students' favorite type of essay to write because you get to flavor that essay all with you. It's all about you. It's an autobiographical incident, it's an autobiographical story, a short excerpt on a specific instance, something that you've done, you've shared, you've felt. It's just all about you. So let's dig in. What is the personal narrative? Well, in a narrative essay, the writer tells a story about real life experiences. Um, Oftentimes, writers think that this is super easy to do, but what the personal narrative does is that it challenges you to think and write about yourselves. And honestly, writing about yourself can sometimes be one of the most difficult things to write about. The personal narrative needs to be written as vivid as possible. So, in this week's essay and in next week's essay, we are really going to be concentrating on using descriptive and sensory details to get your story out there. You're going to be showing and not just telling. And there's definitely a difference. Have you ever read a book that seemed super boring and it just didn't seem like it was chock full of imagery and it just seemed to fall flat? Well, that's probably because the writer did not use descriptive or sensory details. Now, using your sensory details requires you to dig into your senses, okay? So your 5 senses, right? Smelling, taste, hear, sight, and touch, all right? So when you are describing something in your personal essay, you want to make sure that you are tapping into those sensory details that make the story exciting, that pull it together, that make your readers want to stay engaged and stay listening to your story. For example, if I was going to tell you about Christmas morning, and when I was a kid, let's just say I'm going to tell you a story about Christmas morning and getting a new puppy for Christmas morning. So I'm just going to give you an example. And again, I'm pulling this kind of out of the air. So bear with me here. So it was Christmas morning. The snow was blanketed. The white snow had been see, now I'm talking, I'm not writing, so it makes it a little bit difficult. The snow had blanketed the ground like a white, soft blanket. My sister and I were getting out of bed, and as we put our feet on the cold floor, we could feel the excitement shiver from our feet all the way up to our heads. And we knew this was going to be an amazing Christmas. As we softly tiptoed out to the living room, the creaks in the floor woke Mom and Dad up. Quickly, Mom sprung out of bed and ran out to the hallway to stop my sister and I. We couldn't understand what the problem was. We didn't understand why. But when we got out and started opening our gifts, we noticed a big box with shiny wrapping paper. Mom and Dad told us to open that box. And as we opened that box, what did we see but the cutest little wet nose coming out of that box? You could smell puppy all over him. It was amazing. We were so excited. And as we placed our hand on his soft, fluffy fur, we fell in love. That's just an example. But you want to really dig deep into those senses. And as I said before, I'm talking and not writing, and a lot of times it's easier to write about, when you're showing and not just telling. It's easier to write it than to talk about it when you're trying to talk about it. You're really meaning to write about it. So having said that, my point is this, guys. My point is that you want to make sure that you are using as many descriptive details as you possibly can so that you can create a great image for your reader, okay? So first, we're going to take a look at our opening lecture for our opening lecture PowerPoint, if I can get it open here, for the persuasive essay. Let me share my screen with you here. Here we go. This is going to give you a little bit of background information on exactly what a personal narrative is and the qualities of personal narrative writing. So, personal narrative is also called an autobiographical incident. Autobiographical means that it's about you and you are writing about you. Now, a biographical incident would be writing about somebody else's truthful story. But an autobiographical incident is writing about your truthful story, okay? So, an autobiographical incident tells the story of one incident from your life, a short time period, 1 day, 1 hour, or even just a few minutes. But it should only include one story or incident from your life, okay? That's how you keep this focused. You're not writing a book here or a short story. You're writing an essay, and that essay is going to be at least 300 words, but really no more than 600. So that doesn't give you a lot of time to write about a lot of different things. So you're going to want to think about one story or one incident from your life over a short time period, all right? So descriptive writing, as I mentioned before, uses all of your senses. It includes dialogue, both spoken and internal. And if you don't know what internal dialogue is, have you ever talked to yourself? Because that's internal dialogue. Talking to yourself, thinking things in your head, that's what we consider internal dialogue. So spoken dialogue is dialogue that you speak to somebody else, conversation that you have with somebody else. Or, even if you're speaking to yourself out loud, that would be spoken dialogue. So an autobiographical personal narrative is in first-person narration. I, me, my, we, us, okay? It also uses a clear chronology order of plot events. So you're going to start at the beginning, you're going to go to the middle, and you're going to end with the end, okay? That is a clear chronological order of plot events. That's really important. You don't want your readers to get lost. So, the personal narrative or autobiographical incident includes a lasting lesson or message to the reader in the story's resolution or conclusion. Okay? So, I want you to, when you wrap your essay up, I want you to make sure that you have that lasting lesson or a message to the reader. What do you want to tell the reader? What do you want them to take away from your story? Is there a lesson to be learned in it? Maybe. That's up to you. That's up to your story. All right. So that's the end of our slideshow. This will be posted in our classroom, or this is posted in the classroom right down here. So you want to make sure that you take a look at that. Also, I'm going to show you one more graphic here so that hopefully you understand where we're going with this. And then I'm going to give you specific instructions on how you're to write your paper. So let me pull our graphic up here. Here we go. All right. We are learning to write a narrative. Okay. Here are the things that you need to include in your narrative. You need to include the orientation. So first comes the orientation. This is where you're going to introduce the characters and describe the setting. So the orientation tells a story to teach, entertain, or motivate. You want to use descriptive language, including adjectives and adverbs. Okay? Then you're going to present the complication. The complication is a situation that's introduced that changes the normal run of events and causes a problem for one or more of the characters. Again, include use of senses to describe and develop setting and character. Use imagery, similes, metaphors, onomatopoeias, personification. Okay? So a simile and a metaphor is comparing two unlike things. But the difference between a simile and a metaphor is that a simile uses like and as. Okay, in that comparison. The metaphor just compares them. An onomatopoeia, that's a crazy word, isn't it? That's a word that describes a sound. Splash, bang, crash, boom, crinkle. And personification gives human characteristics to non-human things. Okay? That is what makes an awesome piece of writing, whether you're reading a fiction book or a personal narrative essay. So remember that. Try your very best to use as much imagery as you possibly can to show and not just tell your readers what you're writing about. Again, we talked about sequence of events, chronological order. The characters attempt to resolve the problem in a chronological sequence of events. Include rhetorical questions to involve the reader. A rhetorical question is a question that either A, it's an obvious answer, or B, is not meant to be answered at all. Okay? So try to remember that. If you need a little bit extra help on that, reach out and let me know. I'm more than happy to help you. All right. Your resolution. Your resolution, guys, is really important. Don't leave the reader hanging. The resolution tells how the problem is resolved for better or worse, happily or unhappily. Okay, you want to use a variety of sentence beginnings throughout your essay, but you also want to include dialogue between the characters. Okay, so this is a little graphic. I highly recommend that you download this onto your computer and that you use this as a guide and a resource to help you as you're writing your essay. I'm going to stop this screen share. We're going to go back here. All right, so in the classroom, you are going to read the example essay that I've got. It's called Colorful Fire. It's an awesome essay, and it's a really good model essay for you, okay? Please make sure you read that essay because that's going to help guide you and model your writing, okay? That is how your essay should look. Don't have to use, obviously, the same story because it's not your story. But you want to make sure that your readers are with you the entire story and that they stay engaged. And that's a really good story. It's a really good example. So make sure you look at that. Also, I want you to have dialogue in your essay, okay? I have also posted creative writing dialogue. It will walk you through the process and how to use dialogue properly within your essays, how to format it, how to use dialogue tags, how to quote properly, what type of punctuation you should be using. So please make sure that you look at that as well. Also, you want to look at the sheet on the handout on dialogue punctuation, because again, that's super important is punctuation. Also, you'll also find a list of topic choices. Again, don't have to use them, but sometimes reading those topic choices will help you come up with your own topic, okay? And again, I don't mind if you use your own topic of choice. All right, so I want to make sure that you are formatting this correctly. So your essay must have a title. Must have a title. Your format, meaning the fonts. The format should be Times New Roman, and it should be in 12-point font, okay? So Times New Roman and 12-point font. All right. You also need to double space. And I'm going to quickly go through that. I'm going to share my screen and set this up in a Word document so that you can see how it's done. You want to make sure it's double spaced. Also, your title should be centered on your page, okay? So before we go, I want to quickly open up a Word doc and show you how to set all of these, this format. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull my Word up here. Here we go. Okay, here you have a basic Word document. If you are writing your papers in Google Docs, it's pretty much the same. There's a few little nuances and differences, but for the most part, it's the same. All right, so your name goes up in the left-hand corner. Oops, first you're going to go up here, and you're going to set your font to Times New Roman. And this is set to 12 points, so that's perfect. Now, you're going to come down here. You're going to click on this drop-down box, and you're going to go to 2.0. That's going to set your paper up to be double-spaced. Now you're ready to start typing. Student name. Then you're going to go down here, and you're going to write teacher's name. Then you're going to enter again, and you're going to write the date. Okay? Now, when you go to write your title, you want to make sure that you center your title. Your title goes here. Whoopsie. Title goes here. Then you're going to enter again, and you're going to go back to the left, justified, align left. Make sure you indent by tabbing. You will begin your essay here. Okay, does everybody understand that? All right. If you have any questions, make sure that you reach out to me. I'm here for you. And I look forward to reading your personal narrative and to learning more about you. And again, if you have any issues or any problems or any questions that you have, please reach out to me. I am more than happy to take time out of my day, my week, to help you any way that I can. I really want the best for you, and I want to teach you what I know so that you can be great budding writers as you move forward in your academic career and your life. All right, guys, you have a wonderful weekend or a wonderful week, and I will see you soon. Take care.